Good morning, everyone. We're out here in the morning today because it's going to be so hot this afternoon, and such a beautiful day here in Riverton. We got a little bit of rain to knock the dust down, so we're pretty happy out here. And of course, it's the third Thursday of Easter, so of course we're happy. We have so much to be happy for. And we hear in the Acts of the Apostles today that St. Philip gets sent south of Jerusalem for when he was well north of Jerusalem. And so while he's there, he sees this eunuch. Now, at first glance, this might seem odd to us because we would always think of eunuchs being the ones that took care of the harem, and not important, but simple-minded is how they're usually portrayed in the movies. But they would have very important jobs like this particular eunuch. Now, of course, the cruelty of the culture made them not trust someone who wasn't mutilated. But he had been mutilated. But clearly he was an important man. He had his own chariot. He was sitting in it reading. Clearly there was a driver and probably at least one more attendant along with him. Very important man. Jewish heritage, because he had gone to Jerusalem to worship. And very trusted again by the queen, allowed to take that long trip. Ethiopia is on the other, is south of Egypt. That's a long trip, and yet she trusted him and must have been rewarding him for such wonderful work that he did. And so he is, of course, sadly mutilated by the cruelty of men. But Philip hears him reading from Isaiah, and he asks him if he understands it. And of course he said, well, how can I if nobody explains it to him? And so he invites Philip in to the chariot, and Philip explains to him about Jesus. And they see over here, they see some water, like maybe similar to the water that we see here. And he says, well, what's to prevent me from baptism? And I've even heard I've had to point this actual passage of the Bible out, because I've had people say, well, that person couldn't be baptized because they've been mutilated. And I say, well, no, as a matter of fact, what about Philip? And so they go and he baptizes him, and immediately he's miraculously taken away, which we don't see all that often in the New Testament, that he's miraculously taken away and goes back north for his to continue his mission. It's a beautiful thing. Then we have Jesus. He says, amen, amen, I believe to you, I say to you again. And letting them know how important belief is. And he talks about that he is the bread of life, that the Father is the one who sent him. You can't know the Father except through him. And in his flesh is the life of the world, and flesh is very important. St. Paul a lot of times talks about sin being in the flesh, but not because that there's problem with the flesh. The Lord made it. It's more the thorn in the flesh, or the tumor in the flesh. That tumor, that thorn of sin that gets us, that allows us to use our flesh wrong, in the wrong way. But when we eat the flesh of Jesus Christ and allow that spiritual reality to change us, and to pull those thorns out, to cut those tumors out, to not allow those thorns and tumors of sin to take over our flesh, then we follow Jesus. Then we find ourselves in heaven with him and our loved ones and the angels singing, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.